Hey boys and girls, Mr. D here. In this video we're going to continue on our notes in section 5.3 slope. A couple goals we have here is to determine slope of a line from a graph if we're given 2 points, and the other goal we'll have is to be able to graph a line when they give us 1 point and the slope of a line. So take a moment, copy these goals down, and when you're all set you can proceed to the next slide. So on this, we started copying some of this down to our notes the other day. You guys got as far as right about here after vertical change. So you guys have copied up to this point here in your notes already. So I want you to copy the rest of this down here. These are all different ways we can think of slope. Okay, so copy those down. In this video, in this lesson, we're really going to be focusing in on this one right here. The rise. The rise over the run will be one that we'll really be talking a lot about. So, but copies all down into your notes. Great to have down. We'll talk more about these other ways as we continue on into later lessons and such. So, a couple of things I want you to add these to your notes here. The slope of a line is always constant. Okay, the slope of a curve can vary, it can change. Okay, so take a moment and copy those down. And let me show you an example of what I mean. If we take this line, let's take any line here per se. Let's just take that line. On this line, whether we've got arrows on it or not, there is an infinite amount of points on this line. Okay, basically, in theory, no matter where I draw any point, a point has no size. So no matter where I draw any 2 points, there's an infinite amount of points in between these points. Hard to imagine sometimes when we're drawing them because it takes up space, but when we're not drawing them, they don't have actual space. So this could be when x has a value of 2. This might be an x has a value of 2.000000001. We have x as a value of 2.000000011 per se. Right? So there's always an infinite amount of points here. Now, when I go to find my slope, if I label this point A, let's label this point B. Okay, well, I'm struggling with that one. Let's just say I put point C down here. Okay, if I find the slope between A and B, it's going to be the same as if I found the slope between A and C. And it'll be the same as if I found the slope between B and C. Right? Imagine if we were riding our bicycle up this hill. Remember, slope is really just a measure of how steep the hill is, right? So if we were riding our bike up the hill here, this would be a pretty steep hill. But no matter where I am on this hill, it's the same steepness the whole way. On the flip side, let's imagine if I had a curve. Right? Again, imagine you're riding your bike up this hill. Right? We're down here riding our bike. It's pretty flat, right? This is pretty easy going. Okay, so you might be happy about riding it right here. Right? So you're riding it's pretty flat here, and obviously it's a little steeper here. But imagine riding it right in between this part here. It's nearly impossible. Right? So the slope, the steepness of the hill changes when we have a curve. When it's a straight line, it is always the same no matter between which 2 points we choose. Okay? So that's an important concept for you to understand when we talk about slope. Okay, moving forward, let's take a look here at example 1. Here's one of the goals that we talked about. I want you to find the slope of this line. Okay? So please take a moment, use the graph paper that I've provided to you, write down example 1, copy down the directions. Please copy down the points, exactly what they are, plot them very carefully, label the coordinates, make sure you have arrows on the end of your graphs. Remember, the first coordinate of each point is left to right, so it's 5 to the right and 1 up, all starting from the origin. And this point here, it's start back at the origin, 2 to the right, 2 down. All right, so once you've got that set, let's figure out how we're going to find the slope of this line, how steep this line is. there's two methods we can use. One of them goes back to this formula right here, which we haven't done yet. We'll get into that later on. For today, we're going to learn our counting method. So take a moment, copy this down. Our counting method is basically, you're going to start at any one of the points. It doesn't matter which one you begin at. And then you're going to simply count the rise over the run in order to get to a second point on that line. So we're going to use our rise over the run. This is what we talked about before. We said this is going to be one we're going to use a lot in this lesson, counting rise over run, our counting method. Okay. So if we take a look here, let's just say we started, right here. Okay, let's start at this point. So we're going to go up 1 unit, okay, up 2 units, up 3 units. And when we do our rise over run, we can only go straight up and down or straight left and right. We cannot go on an angle. So this is +3 right here. Okay, this is +3. Right. Going up is plus, going right is plus. Going down would be negative, going left would be negative. So we went up 3. Now we got to get over to this 0.51 here. So from here, where we left off, we've got to go right once, twice, 3 units. So again, we went to the right. So when we talk about in terms of running, we run left or right. We go to the right, it's positive. So think about our rise over our run. Right? So it's really we could say then that m, our slope, is equal to 3 over 3. Move that over here for you guys. So our slope is equal to 3 over 3. Right. Rise over the run. Now 3 over 3, we know that can be simplified. Simplified to 1. Okay, so our slope is really just 1. Okay, so here's my the slope is 1. All right. Let's take a look at another example. Take a look at example 2 here. Again, on the graph paper I gave you, start a different graph. Copy that in directions. Copy down the points exactly. Again, this is -4, 3. So you can start the origin. You move 4 to the left. That first number tells us how many left or right of the coordinate. And then the second part of the coordinate tells us how many up or down. So we're going 3 up. This second point here we have is 2 to the left. 1 down. So copy everything exactly. When we're ready, you can move forward. So we're going to use our counting method once again. So if I use my counting method, again, start at any one point. Let's start at this point here, the -4, 3. Okay, rise over run. So for our rise, we actually have to go down. So if you notice, you've got to go down once, twice, 3 times, 4 times to get to that point right there. So that's a rise of -4. Now my run, so I go left or right. So when I go left or right, oh, we lost our 4 there. Let's go back to my other pen. So our rise, so we're here. That's our rise. We got to go run now. So we're going to run 2 to the right. So we're here, it's 1, 2. So our rise was -4, we went 4 down, and we run 2 to the right. So it's +2 because we're going to the right. So our slope, our m, is equal to -4 over 2. Now we can reduce this. This can be reduced to -2. Now, this time, look, we counted down this way. We went down 4, right? We went right 2. We started up at -4, 3. So, what would happen if we started at the other point? What would happen, you think, if we started at -2, -1? Let's take a look at what happens here. I erased my point there by accident. Let's get it back up there. Let's start here. Watch what's going to happen. This is really awesome. So let's start here and let's go rise over run. So here, if I rise up, got to go up once, twice, 3 units, 4 units, right to here. So that's positive 4. So now my m is positive 4. So my rise is positive 4. Now think about my run. When I go from here to get over to the point, I'm going to run 2 units, but this time I'm going to the left, which makes it a negative 2. Rise over run, but now that I'm running to the left, that makes it negative 2, right? Because our negatives go left on the number line. 4 over negative 2, well, what does that simplify to be? That's right, negative 2. So really it doesn't matter which point you begin at. As long as you appropriately count rise over run. Again, when you go up on rise, it's positive. If I count down on my rise, that's obviously negative. I'm going down. To the right is positive on my run, and if I go left, it's negative. Just look at the number lines if you get confused. Okay? All right, let's move on. Let's take a look at number 3. Example 3. Now, we're actually going to graph a line, okay, given the slope and the point. So the first thing here, copy these steps down, and then we'll move forward. Step 1 is graph the point. So let's graph this point, negative 2, positive 3. Start at 0, 0. I go negative 2, it's to the left, and positive 3 right here. Okay? Now, if you go back, our slope is negative 1/2. Now, again, I can make that negative 1 over 2, or I can make that 1 over negative 2. It doesn't make a difference, but put the negative sign with either the rise or the run. Do not put it with both. Okay? So for now, we'll just use this one. We'll put the negative 1 on the rise. So I'm going to go down 1. I'm going to go right 2. That's where I end up. So that should really label my points. This is negative 2, 1, 3, excuse me. And this point here is going to be 0. If 0 left or right, 0, 2 is this point. Okay. So I've graphed this point. Again, I started at the point, I counted my slope, down 1, right 2, and there's my line. So I can draw that line. That's not a real good line. Let's try that again. That's a better line. There you go, right through those 2 points. Okay. Put arrows on the end of that line for us. Let's see, arrows. Okay, make sure you have arrows, label your point. All right, now take a look at this. Let's say, Mr. D, I wanted to do it the other way. Let's say, hey, I wanted to go up 1, left 2. Well, that's not a problem. Come back to the original point. Look what happens. If you go up 1, left 2, look where you end up. Right on that line. In fact, every point on this line goes down 1, right 2. Down 1, right 2. Down 1, right 2. It's a pattern. Or you can go up 1, left 2, up 1, left 2. No matter what, and look at the slope of this line. You guys know this is a negative sloping line. Basically what we have right here, negative sloping line. Okay, so hopefully this video is helpful. Give a shot at the ones in the book. Help each other out, and I'm sure you guys will do terrific with these.